It is day 3 of our trade-up challenge. That is right. It has been 2 weeks since the last trade-up challenge, and I felt like it was time to see what we could get. And let me tell you, boys and girls, I was super pumped for this day. You better buckle in, because this is about to be action-packed. Today we had so many Pokemon vendors, I couldn't believe it. It was making me salivate. There were so many people that I had the opportunity to meet and trade with, including some surprises that I wasn't even ready for. So I hope you're ready to see this. Of course, I get the lay of the land first. See how many vendors we had. I counted like 6 to 10 vendors. It was packed for Pokemon today compared to usual. Plus, a lot of people trying to trade their personal collections. So I felt like there might be some added value there as well. If you can remember, we did finish off day 2 with about $65 worth of cards. However, when I woke up this day, I was sad because the overall evaluation of all the cards that I had from the second day of trading up kind of dropped. We were down to about $55, which was not looking too good, but I had hope. My goal was to break the $100 mark if possible, because that's when we can start getting those big bucks, start going for those big cards, for those big trades, because we were kind of in the gray zone, that area where a lot of vendors had really high price cards that were over 100 or really low price cards closer to 12 to 20-ish dollars. So it was making it a little hard to do the trade. So our goal was to break it at least to 100. I finished the lay of the land, and the first vendor I decided to talk to was someone who just had sealed products. I had a feeling that they probably weren't going to want to trade because, I think they're just trying to sell sealed products. And I was right. Super nice person though, was willing to talk for a bit, but unfortunately we couldn't make a deal. But that won't stop me. I remember seeing a decent number of vendors in the very center kind of grouped up with some Pokemon cards. So I decided, let's make our way over there. Let's talk to someone, see if someone is willing to trade with me. Come on now. We were on a time crunch too, because my ride said he had to leave after about an hour and a half. So I was in a bit of a rush as well to make trades, making it a little bit risky because that means I wasn't going to check prices as thoroughly just so I could get the trade done. I was taking a lot of people on their word, which honestly probably isn't the best way to be doing it, but at the same time, I trust my community. I trust the Pokemon community. They haven't steered me wrong. I had faith. So let's keep going into this. This was my guardian angel, Joe. This man came in so clutch. All right, so this one was interesting. There was a lot of Pokemon cards, both, just the general TCG and some specialty cards that I've seen around before, but really didn't know the value of them. So I was just kind of going through the collection, seeing what he had. A lot of interesting stuff, of course. And I did ask him point blank, are you willing to trade with me? Do a little trade up perhaps. He did say at first that he wasn't really interested in that. However, as we started talking, as we got to know each other, he really felt the idea that I was going for and decided to be a big bro right here. He just handed me a bunch of Pokemon cards to help me with my trade up challenge. He didn't even ask for any card in return. He just wanted to help so much. So we didn't even really do a trade up. We just got cards, which was just amazing. This man was an angel because if it wasn't for him, I don't think the day would have ended as it did. As I looked through his cards, I did see some interesting looking ones, including this unknown. Personally, I've always had a thing for unknown, and it was a Japanese card too, so I thought that might be interesting. So I decided to pull it out, ask him what he'd be willing to sell it for since he wasn't really interested in trading, and he told me I could just have it. I really appreciate it. I know, it probably wasn't worth a ton, but even so, the fact that he was willing to just give it to me meant a lot. Let's see what my man here was willing to help us with. And again, I appreciate this dude so much. We had a Pikachu, an Oddish, we had a Shadowless Charmander, we had this Dark Machop, which I was pretty happy about, and a couple Porygons, which I also really love, especially the Japanese cards. Mwah! He also gave me a Genghis-Khan, but my bro here was not done helping me out. He kept looking. He was trying to find even more cards to help me with this trade-up challenge. I'm telling you, this man was an angel. He was just here to help me out, and I was loving it. He found a holo Delcatty, which was actually worth a pretty penny as well. And I knew that card right there could help me down the line. But he wasn't done. I'm telling you, this man just was in the charity mood today. Just wanted to help a brother out. He finished it off. He topped it off with a Suicune, one of the nicest looking Suicune cards I have ever seen. And I mean, you gotta love the legendary dogs. They're just amazing. So overall, we had a nice pile of really great cards that were worth a decent chunk of change that I knew would help me with really any trade up at this point. So it was time to move along. The next person we talked to was Matt. Matt was also a homie. However, he didn't bring a lot of Pokemon cards this time around. So we mostly just had a talk. You know, we just talked about life, we talked about Pokemon, we just had a good chat. And we did try to do a trade. Unfortunately, we couldn't come to any agreement. But again, Matt, I love you, dude. It was great talking to you, and I really just enjoyed my time with you. Now, I'm really upset that I forgot to record this next trade. It was with my boy Tyler. He's the one who helped me out on day 2 as well. He helped me offload my Excadrill for a bunch of cards, and today I was able to trade him my Pikachu that I just got from Joe for a Rayquaza V Max. I already have a Rayquaza V Max in my collection, but this one is only for the trade-up challenge, and I knew this card would be easy to trade. Everyone loves a Rayquaza, so that's what we got. Unfortunately, I didn't get it on footage, but Tyler, you're a bro, and you will see him later on in the video because I did go back to him to see if we could trade some more. After talking to Tyler, we talked to his friend who actually wanted that Rayquaza V Max, so this was perfect, just trade next door. And he let me look through a couple of the cards he had in his collection, and man, he had a lot of really intriguing cards, but I knew I had to go big for this because, I mean, that Rayquaza V Max, I just knew it would trade easily, so I knew I had to aim high. And luckily, we did come to a deal. We ended up trading it for a Blastoise, a Mewtwo, and the 3 legendary birds, which totaled a little over the price of that Rayquaza, and I was pumped because I knew with these in my arsenal, next trade would be a cinch. Next up, I actually ran into someone else that I've done a trade with before. On day 1, I traded with Pokémon Bird over here, and he was a bro as well. He let me trade up a booster pack for a blister pack, which came in really handy later down the line. And now we're back. I wasn't expecting to see him, and I was so glad I did because he was really interested in a lot of the cards that I just got, and we came to a great deal. As we talked it out, I told him my goal was to get a slab, and he wanted my Mewtwo plus some of the other cards, so I figured this was the perfect time to do a little trade. We traded for another Mewtwo and an Eevee. Both of these, I honestly was a little hesitant. I wasn't sure how easily I could actually trade these, but just thinking on it, you know, they're older, they look amazing. People love Eevee and Mewtwo. I felt pretty good about it. However, I wanted him to sweeten the pot just a little bit more, just to get that trade up just a little higher. So after a little bit more negotiating, this is all that I gave him in exchange. This is all I got. I included that Sandaconda and, you know, just a little booster pack just to sweeten the pot a little bit for me. And we came to a nice little agreement. Thanks once again, Pokémon Bird, for helping me with another trade up. Now, you won't believe what we traded up for next. I decided to go back to Joe, show him what I had so far, and I was surprised because he had someone waiting for me. He wanted someone to meet me so we could work out a little trade up as well. So let's see, can we come out with a deal? I decided to showcase all the cards I had and let him look through, see what he was interested in, and see if we can make a deal. Here's a little footage of me putting down my GoPro while I set out all the cards. You can just see random people walking by as I figure this out. In the meantime, while we're waiting, you should like, you should subscribe, you should share this video, and comment below which card do you think we should end up trading for that 10,000 card. What card do you think we should be aiming for? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, so I finally laid out all the cards. As you can see, we are getting kind of a big collection, and I wanted to kind of condense it down. But for now, I just had to trade what I could. I was running a little low on time, and I was like, you know what? Let's speed up this process a little bit. Let's try to get some big trades. Maybe get another slab, because, you know, slabs are always nice. And I was kind of surprised, because he had a whole wardrobe of sealed products that he was willing to trade me at a lot lower cost than what they are usually sold for. And I was kind of interested. I'm not gonna lie. I was really interested. He wanted my Dark Machoke and he wanted my Eevee. And I was trying to figure out what would be a good trade for these. Sealed products are nice, especially a lot of these that are really expensive. You know, honestly, they were worth a lot more than these two cards, but the thing was, I didn't think it would be easy to trade a sealed product. I was thinking maybe I could crack it open and try to trade whatever I get inside, but again, I felt like it would just be easier to trade up the slab plus the card for another slab perhaps. And you know, we talked it out for a little while and we did end up coming to a little bit of a back and forth. My guy decided to pull out his slabs and wow, I was surprised to see what he had in there. He had the Moonbreon, he had a bunch of evolutions, he had really a lot of cards that I would have loved to get my hands on. But it was a matter of what is he willing to trade me here? Because again, he had a lot of really expensive cards, so hopefully we could come to an agreement. As we went through, he had a lot of cards that I really wanted, and one of them was the Charizard. I was pretty much 100% sold on getting at least a Charizard today. Because I mean, let's face it, Charizard is amazing, and Charizards are easy to trade. No matter what, I knew a Charizard would be easy to trade down the line. So it was a matter of what could I get with it, because it actually didn't equal up to the cards that I was giving him. So that gave me a little bit of leverage there. After talking to him, he decided that maybe I could take one of the evolutions, maybe the Pikachu. He just had a bunch of cards that he was showing me, tossing all over the place, being like, maybe this, maybe that. We just had to make sure the price was right. And, you know, with a little haggling, we decided on either the two Charizards or the two Flareons, because personally, I wanted the Flareons. I was more of a Flareon person myself. However, he was willing, luckily, he was willing to give me both the Flareons and a Charizard for the trade. Because again, that was about the right valuation that we had going on. So he was willing to do it. It was, you know, a little bit above what I was giving him, but he was okay with that. Because I mean, just look at that beautiful Eevee. And I think he wanted the Dark Machoke for his kid. So of course he wanted to make his kid happy. So at the end of the day, we were both happy with this trade. Next up on our little world tour here, we ended up talking to Lava Collectibles and they were interested in my cards. But the problem was, could we come to an agreement for a deal? Because now I got 3 slabs, 3 really nice slabs and a whole lot of cards that honestly were just gonna be kind of a pain to get rid of. These guys were great and unfortunately we just couldn't come to a compromise on what to trade. But I know in the future, if I ever see these guys again, I am definitely talking to them, hitting them up. We are going to come up with a trade for the future because these dudes were amazing to talk to. Next up, we have my boy Tyler. Luckily, I had some footage of us talking. This was the man who gave me that Rayquaza VMAX, and boy was I grateful. I decided to show him what I had now and see if we can make a deal. Unfortunately, with what I had and what he had, we just couldn't really meet the price point, but it was okay. At the end of the day, I know I'm gonna be hitting him up again and trying to make a trade next time. Because after all, I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm sure he will have more cards. I'll have more cards. We will figure out a trade for sure. He did mention though that he wanted to trade his Aerodactyl VMAX, but unfortunately the issue I was having was I wanted to keep my graded cards and trade them for another graded card because I just felt like it would be easier for a trade down the line, even though that Aerodactyl was worth a pretty penny, like around $120. But unfortunately, it just wasn't a deal this time around. This next trade was interesting. A little kid came up to me and saw that I was trying to trade cards and he asked if I'd be interested in trading with him. And of course, I wanted to see this kid's portfolio. I knew he's got to have something really juicy in that binder. And we went through them, we saw what he wanted, what I would want, and we tried to compromise. We ended up trading his Rillaboom for my Orbeetle, which I was more than happy to trade for if that would make him happy. And he really wanted that Orbeetle, so it was no problem for me. However, as we talked it out more, he decided he kind of wanted a couple more of my cards. So he wanted my Lapras, my 3 legendary birds, and that Mewtwo. And he ended up giving me his Charizard, which I was happy about. He wanted to help out the channel. I made sure that he was okay with the deal, and he was, so bam, that's what we went with. It was at this point where I actually had to go, but then I ran into some more people who were just kind of selling and trading cards amongst themselves, and I decided, hey, maybe I should see if they wanted to do a quick trade before I left. I wasn't expecting anything too great, you know, it was going to be a quickie like 5-minute deal and then I had to bounce, so wasn't expecting anything too great, but boy was I surprised. He let me look through his collection, and man, this was just one of the binders that I looked through. You should just, you know what, I'm just gonna stop talking. I'm just gonna play some music and let you look at all of these beautiful cards that he had. And he told me, like, if there's anything that, you know, piqued my interest, let him know. But everything piqued my interest, so I didn't know what to say. So here you go and watch this. And of course, he had a second binder full of amazing cards. Again, just look through these. These are just amazing. This dude came in clutch because I told him I was trying to get rid of as many cards as I could and condense it into just one card. And he made me a great offer. Just, you can see this. There's just a bunch of cards. And he gave me this beauty of a card. It was a Palkia worth about $40. I was blown away because that's something that I knew would be easy to trade, but also just help me get rid of a huge stack of cards all at once. And then before I left, I asked him if he wanted to trade for any more cards just because I still had a decent pile in my hand. And he was like, you know what? Here's an Empoleon worth about $40 for about $10 worth of cards that I was giving him. I even told him, hey, I don't think this is a great idea. And he said, just to help you out, just to help with the trade-up challenge, this is for you. I gave him an extra card just because, you know, I really appreciated this dude, but man, he came in so clutch right now. This was the perfect way to end a trade-up challenge. And this was our final total.